How many of you have seen this photo? This photo of young men and teenage boys lined up, handcuffed in the North of Gaza with a bunch of holes dug. Does that remind you of anything? I don't know, anything that happened in the 1940s? This happened yesterday after the Israeli regime did an airstrike on a refugee camp in Jabalia, killing over 100 people and wounding over 100. That's just the first estimate. They haven't gotten all the people from under the rubble. This is part of their plan of fully annexing North Gaza. Now, regarding this horrific photo, of course they're lying. Of course they're lying. You know what they're saying? I bet you can't guess what they're saying. It's Hamas! Yes, of course, because of course that's what they're saying. They're claiming that these men are Hamas surrendering. But you know what? I was reminded of this photo recently, okay? Of this IOF soldier walking a bunch of Palestinian civilian men and making them hold up their IDs and claiming that they were Hamas surrendering. I can't show the photo, but you guys remember when they stripped all those Palestinian men and were carting them around in like an animal barn style car and were lying and claiming that they were also Hamas surrendering. But it turned out, again, just like this was debunked, that they were also just civilians. So now we're back to this okie doke where they are clearly targeting civilians and boys as young as 11 years old, and they're saying that of course, is Hamas surrendering. And as this journalist points out, of course he's lying. This is the Israeli occupation forces kidnapping civilians from refugee shelters, killing hundreds of them and their women and children, cutting food and water off, and attacking their hospitals for 15 days and nights. Yes, what has been happening in the north of Gaza has now been going on for 2 weeks. This massacre that they committed in Jabalia was just one of a 15-day campaign of terror that they have been conducting. They cut off their water, they cut off their food, they recently cut their internet because they don't want people telling you what's happening. They are wiping them out of the north. And why are they wiping them out of the north specifically now so aggressively when allegedly the north was the first place that they evacuated again and they said was cleared of Hamas? They're doing it, of course, because they're in the process of annexing it. That's what we are watching, you guys. We are in the process of watching them annex North Gaza. Well, why are they doing this? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because the Likud Party is holding an event in support of resettling Gaza. That's right. The Likud, which Benjamin Netanyahu and his cabinet is a part of, are holding an event where they have little mock settlements set up about how they're going to resettle, as in steal, the land in Gaza and bring a bunch of settlers from the Israeli regime and probably from America too, probably from like Brooklyn and LA, and let them move in there. This is absolutely insane. This is a violation of international law, and they're literally doing it. They're in the process of doing it right now as we speak. And the Biden administration hasn't said shit about it. You know, one of the things Democrats have been telling us, and it was an argument I was sympathetic to, is that when people argue that Trump would be worse for Gaza, one of the things they say is, well, if Trump gets back in office, he's going to let them annex the occupied West Bank, which I totally believe. But what do you have to say about the fact that they're fucking doing it now? They're doing it now, and the Biden administration and Kamala Harris has not said shit about this. Oh, right. The UN, the feckless, toothless UN, strongly condemns the Israeli airstrikes in Beit Lahiya, northern Gaza. Shut the fuck up. I am so tired of these losers putting out strongly worded letters and strongly condemning as they continue to allow it to happen. Why are you here? This massacre that happened last night in Jabalia hit a residential block, killing close to 100. Now, this was yesterday that it was reported. It's more now. Palestinians, while they slept. The bombing is the latest on Israel's assault in northern Gaza since it besieged and stepped up the attacks of the territory 2 weeks ago. And their attacks have already been grotesquely brutal. So what does step up mean? Again, they're stepping it up as in they're getting even more brutal. They're getting even more vicious and violent and genocidal because what they want is to move out every single person from this area so that they can annex northern Gaza and build their illegal settlements on it. This isn't some fringe just being like, oh, some people want to rebuild it. These are literally people in the fucking government.